Hello, everyone. Welcome to Orange and Brew, the podcast where we've made our two favorite pastimes, the Denver Broncos and beer. I am JT Matthews, JT Matthews 01 on X. Still sounds weird. I'm here with the doctor, Nicholas Manning at DR_N Manning on X, and super producer co-host John Cronenberg at John K NFL. Boys, how we doing today? I just wolfed down some lunch, and it made me think. What's your go-to lunch food? Do you have something that you go that's a safe go-to lunch option, even that if that's going out somewhere or something you make at home?
You want to take this first, Doc, or do you want me to?
Yeah, go for it.
Honestly, if I usually skip lunch and I'd rather go to dinner. It's just lunch. Usually something's going on. I have to take someone to an appointment or do something like that. And it's just something takes up my time. So usually if I get anything, it'd be a sandwich. I don't know what kind exactly, but it's usually a sandwich because it's
whatever you got.
And you can just, like you said, wolf it down really quick. That's my go-to. What about you, Doc?
What's my go-to? It's
you're like a protein bar.
Quickness,
just say it. Just say it. Protein bar.
I don't know that I would call that a lunch. So if we're getting committed to the specifics, I don't think a protein bar or a shake is a meal option. So quick snack option. I'm like a quesadilla guy. Just make one some real quick.
Well, that's a good.
Got my Taco Bell sauce that I get.
What do you hoard them? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just go by. They sell them now. So
okay, gotcha.
I would though. When I do, I would. Let's see other options. Love me some cereal.
That's perfect for whenever you need it.
Little quick smash. Love sandwiches. Oftentimes, whatever I ate the night before, there's probably some left, so I might reheat it.
Cool.
Well,
just curious.
Orange Crush let us know as well, but he just wants to say, howdy, y'all. I still remember the first time I tried the United in Orange Pale Ale at the stadium. It was delicious. I want to say delicioso. I don't know why. Seeing that on the intro brings back memories. Hey, that intro is a great one. I really like the way it does represents us. But at the same time, it makes me sad, since I haven't been to the stadium this year, as well as we've been losing. So we'll talk about that later. But good to see you, Crush. Welcome in.
Doc's been there. He's been a bad luck charm, apparently.
Well, you've only been to one game, so we don't know if there's there's nothing there to say. Last year, I will say I was a good luck charm because I think I went to 3 games and they won. That was a good chunk of what they won.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not me. Last year was not a good year, and it hasn't been a good go so far.
Yeah, you even went to Vegas and they lost.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you really actually – I'm sorry. It's been –
Yeah, I saw 2 losses.
You have been the bad luck.
5-day span.
You specifically are causing us harm.
Yeah, it wasn't Nathaniel Hackett.
Oh, no, Gage is me. Hey, Gage, how you doing? It was a bet between Tony and I on CCF, between CSU and CU, like I said, and yeah, almost we were this close. But once you can grow one, Gage, we'll talk.
Oh dang, shots fired.
I'm just kidding. I love you.
No, you weren't. That was from the heart. You said that with your chest.
Yeah, you sure did.
Mine's not even. Mine's not pretty. We all knew it.
Oh, mine's not either. Mine is real bad today. I looked at it this morning. I was like, I should do something about it, and then I never did. So,
put it in the chat if you can grow a beard.
All right, let's talk Broncos because that's what we do here.
Whatever we were getting at just then does getting weird.
That's a different social media feed that we haven't created yet. Let's talk Broncos. Let's talk the Broncos coming off a disappointing loss to the Washington Commanders. They took a commanding lead early.
They did.
Kind of let it slip away a little bit at halftime, gave the Commanders some momentum, and then at the half and afterwards was all downhill, and the Broncos ended up taking the L. Doc, you were there, so I want to jump to you first.
Sure.
What was the prevailing feeling by the end of that game? I have to imagine people were excited early on. Was there hope that we could come back? Yeah. Were people into it, or were we dejected by the end?
I think that there was some I'll go through the whole feel. Right?
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
Washington starts. They drove down the field pretty effortlessly, it seemed. And then there was a penalty, I recall, a sack, and then they got to kick a field goal. And so then you're feeling, I believe, did they miss the first one? Missed the second one.
Second one.
Missed second
Yeah.
one. So, anyway, and so you feel like, all right, whatever. Maybe the defense, took a couple on the chin, toughen up. Offense looked great, good mixture, good pace. And then, when they score and then we score again, from, a deep ball to Marvin, the Martian Mims, you're feeling like, okay, like they figured it out. Right. So run the ball pretty effectively. Play action game's working. Russ does his Russ thing. You see why the young guy gets drafted. Defense goes out, gets another 3 and out. The crossing route to Johnson just feels like, yep, see, like we're clicking it, right? Deep ball, short balls, run ball, blah, blah. And there was a feeling on that last drive because I believe there was a penalty on 3rd down that allowed Washington to keep the ball. There's like the moment right then of like, dang it, like if they got that stop, like floodgates open, probably it's a wrap, right? Yeah. Maybe we get another field goal at the end of the half and we get the ball back. It's just, there's not much to do. You're up 3 scores, 3 touchdowns. It would have been a pretty spectacular feel. When they scored the touchdown, that wasn't the concern. The way that they gave it, right? So it's 4th down. Kareem comes across the middle, and when that hit happened, I think for most of us, we get like he's trying to dislodge the ball.
Yeah, sure.
Not trying to let the guy score. When he gets ejected, right, and the 2-point conversion, he gets ejected. That was when I felt like, that. Now it's a 1-score game when it shouldn't be. The Broncos had owned, they owned the first half. There's no reason why this game should be within a score like this. Something's not okay. And then Washington came out and really controlled the game on the ground. Every answer that we had in the run game in the first half went out the window. And it was just like, this is bad football. Sacks, Russ with the bad pick. I still think he was down by contact on that fumble, whatever. Like there's just those things. And then every call, in my opinion, started to really go against the Broncos, and it felt egregious. Like I was making the comment that I have never seen NFL or NBA reffing at an NFL game before.
Okay. All right.
Like it was watching the Nuggets and the Lakers, and like, dude, you got to give them like all that. Like really, Pat Surtain, best corner of the game. Like you're like, we're getting ticky tacky again 2 weeks in a row. Just felt like every call that could have been a judgment call was going against Denver. On top of Washington had a really good mixture going. I thought Sam Howell played really good football. And the run game just started to wear Denver down. And the wheels came off. And that was a concern. I think as the half went, no. I mean, there wasn't a feeling that they were going to stop the bleeding. It felt like too many things were going on. Until, even when, so they're driving, right? They're milking clock. We understand that you're going to have 2 scores, onside kick, all that stuff. It was such bad clock management. And you could tell, and obviously Sean Payton's addressed it since, it's something like, we're not okay. Like something's not okay. There's no way we're going to be able to come back if we can't get the play in or guys aren't lined up. We're having to take timeouts because, people aren't set. And then, all be told, holy crap, we watching history, which is, like what? Because I was like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I wondered if you were gone.
We were there. We hung him.
I said to our father-in-law, I was like, I wonder if Nick's already out of there.
Yeah. We're gonna stay for the for the tire thing, and it was, it was like we're gonna see something special. And then the pass interference that didn't get called. Yeah. That's I'm not okay with that. That play
that's the one.
I didn't see that page. I didn't see that pass interference when I was watching it the first time, and it really didn't jump out. Like I don't remember them showing it again or anything like that. So for me, it kind of just seemed like, okay, it ended. And then I heard about it later. So
oh my
just,
gosh.
it was a little
I mean,
bit
I'm
of a shock
on the
for me.
opposite side of the field, and I can see it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's
What's going
bad.
on, D-Rock? Welcome in.
So
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, you can't swallow your whistle on that play with the, like, what? And then, with
Someone
that,
should have been in the right area to see that. That's the
there's
obvious
a umpire right there. I mean, the
Yeah.
call's like, it's egregious, right? And then of course it goes up on the jumbotron, and it's like
so did the
again,
booze come
how
in?
could you have? Yeah, and you're watching, Cortland's beside himself. It's rough.
Yeah.
Like, dear goodness gracious. So that capstone of events, like, the Broncos did not help themselves out, and the refs opened up the wounds, right? So it was that was the worst officiated game I have seen, especially kind of one-sided in, I don't know how long, in an NFL game. There's bad calls sometimes, bad refs, whatever, blah, blah. But usually they're just bad.
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of like NBA style, where there's favoritism towards a market or a team. And it was really rough. And, it's the first time I asked myself, is Sean Payton's rep as a guy who is not a fan of NFL officiating or the NFL in general. The Broncos have not been on the plus side of the yellow flag in either of the games. Maybe that conspiracy theory that the world's out to get Sean Payton a little bit might not be false. He definitely is a guy that put a target on his back over his time in New Orleans, and so maybe there's something more there. D-Rock, I would agree. They let the game go, and to rely on a ref in that moment. That said, the refs have a job to do, so you have to expect to be able to do it. Overall, it was for as high as I got in the first half, like, yes, like, this is the team that we were hoping to see. Like, holy crap. To have the bottom drop was it was disheartening. It was really tough to see. If it was a back and forth battle, all that kind of stuff, all right, I would have got it. That would have been less. But to watch them for them to choke away that game at home after week one's close but not close enough loss. Right. It was hard to watch. It took me a little bit to be able to get out of my my woe is me as a Bronco fan.
I'm with you.
And so that was probably one of the worst I felt as a fan in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'll have to watch again. I didn't feel the refs impact as much as maybe you did in person.
I didn't feel that at all, honestly. I looked it up here really quickly.
There were 3 face masks. There were 3 face masks that didn't get called that were pretty blatant. As you're watching it, you're watching guys like head snap. 2 of them were on Russell Wilson. How, like, you're with today's NFL and the focus on the quarterback, how you are allowing a guy that makes $50 million in a year, whatever you think of Russ.
Right.
He is a marquee name in the NFL. Get his neck grabbed and his face mask grabbed on multiple occasions, and not at one point throw the flag. Russ isn't a complainer. He's not Phil Rivers or whoever, Tom Brady, right? And so maybe that goes against him. But there's some things like that. Real ticky-tack with the pass interference call that kept the drive alive, that got Washington some points. So those to me were, at what point does Pat Surtain get the respect that he should get, that Sauce Gardner gets?
Right,
Sauce, should be arrested for sexual assault. That man is gropey, and there's a lot of questionable stuff. So in totality, there were some, especially, as they're replaying stuff on the Jumbotron, obviously, it's like if I can notice it and see it where I'm at, and it confirms up there, and you're 10 feet away, and you're trained in this activity, it's concerning to me.
Yeah,
for sure.
John, what was your take on the game? Just kind of overall, did you feel? Here, I'll preface it this way: when we got to halftime, through halftime, and the third quarter started, and it was clear that the Commanders had the momentum. I didn't feel confident in any way that we would be able to turn it around and regain that momentum. It was, were you feeling the same way?
I mean, I have to start from the beginning. I felt like even with the momentum that the Broncos had, I never felt like it was put away. I always felt like the Commanders could come back. There could be situations where the Broncos weren't able to, going to be able to finish the game. So I needed to see that first from Denver before I could, put that away in my mind at least. So I wasn't actually really surprised when things started to fall apart because I needed to see the Broncos really get a win and really put a team away that they should. Again, I felt like they should beat the Washington Commanders. Don't get me wrong. I think they have a good defensive line. They have some pieces here and there, but I think that's a team that the Broncos should win, and they need to get to the place where they're going to beat the teams that they are better than. So for me, it was just a matter of frustration because they didn't prove me wrong in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was waiting for them to that's what I wanted to happen. Prove me wrong, make me feel like I was the jerk who wasn't the believer. But again, I'm getting this feeling of people, are tossing out the idea of coach of the year, comeback player of the year. Now, all of a sudden we can watch the team and have those be away, and let's just focus on the game at hand. Instead of the other narrative. So I hope that helps the team, but we'll see.
Yeah. I struggle because some of the things that they didn't do in week 1, they did do in week 2, and it was the same outcome. So they were able to generate some pressure. They got some sacks. They were able to make Sam Howell uncomfortable at times.
Yeah.
It wasn't consistent necessarily, but it was better than they had shown against the Raiders. So that was something that I was looking for going into it. Are we going to be able to generate some pressure and make the young quarterback uncomfortable? At times they did, and I was happy about that. And that was more in the first half, I would say, than the second half. So they made some adjustments, but to me, it's funny because I always felt like the last few years, the Broncos were a good or decent first half team, and then couldn't adjust their game plan after the half. Sorry, backwards. I said that backwards. This year, I feel that way. In the past, I felt like maybe they didn't have a great game plan, but they were able to adjust a little bit on the fly. This year, I feel like they come out and do okay, and then by halftime, the plan, I don't know, they're abandoning the plan, they're changing the plan, they're not able to implement anything new. And I don't know what you attribute that to. I'm willing to kind of overlook it for now because it's week 2 and things are still new. But at some point you start to wonder if it's a personnel problem, if it's just you don't have enough guys in the room that can do the job that you need them to do, or is it some sort of issue with kind of that game plan in general, or lack thereof, a lack of ability to improv a second half game plan. So I don't know.
They need to improvise because, like you said, Kareem Jackson, was thrown out of the game for that hit. Then, it just felt like the safeties kept going down. So their numbers were dwindling, honestly. And Skinner wasn't being used. Bassey was being used at times, I saw. So it's one of those things where the Broncos were hindered by injury when it came to the safety. And I agree when it comes to that, especially from D-Rock's comments right here. It's so hard to get a true assessment on the team when health is our biggest nemesis. And I do agree with that in many certain ways.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for this team coming into week 3? Obviously, we're going to be playing Miami. I don't want to get into like the necessarily the X's and O's, but where is an area you'd like to see them improve? Not necessarily a game plan area, but maybe just a group of personnel, an individual player. Where would you like to see them improve to give us a shot against the Dolphins, Nick?
I think the commitment to the run game.
Yeah.
So it lost its effectiveness in the second half, but they definitely got away from it. Is that panic? Maybe they knew something about their personnel. I'm not sure. First half, it looked like they were running the ball pretty effectively. They did not use McLaughlin after his one touchdown run. I thought, that change of pace was pretty positive. Samaje Perine had one carry.
Right.
Russ was the leading rusher, and it didn't feel like there was a commitment there. Most of the carries happened and occurred in the first half. And you saw when Washington was able to run the ball, when they committed to it, their offense looked significantly better. So that to me will be one. I think if they're able to do that, it slows down the pass rush because you got to be able to play the keys, and it creates some problems. Vic Fangio's defenses over time have been, they'll let you run the ball, right? They are bend but don't break. It was really positive to see Denver convert. They're converting drives. I believe that they are first in points per possession, if I recall, or touchdowns per possession. So the offense producing is not the problem. Offensively, if you can control the clock a little bit more, that game got out of whack last Sunday for that specific reason. Defense just on the field a ton too. So we're not talking about that. There's not a big heavy rotation, so a lot of the guys are playing a lot of the snaps. So that to me is something that can really help support the defense and getting some breathers when they're rested. The offense is doing their thing. This team looked fantastic. It gets out of whack. It has a cascading effect. So if I were to ask for one, it would be that.
Yeah. I'll have you weigh in too. I just want to air out a few grievances real quick, John, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's feel better after this.
I'm gonna pull this up. I don't usually do this. John and Nick usually do this, but I do want to say about Kareem Jackson. And I do want to, I want to, I don't know if lay blame is the correct verbiage, but I think that he has to be better. And I think that he has to do better. And I think with the NFL, the way that it is now, the penalties that he's taking he's not helpful to the team. Right. And I feel like if your strategy is the guy's going to make the play, but you're going to dislodge the ball every time, and that's always your strategy, that's not a good strategy. And I know that he's made a career of big hits, and I know he's made a career of being impactful in the running game and over the middle, especially in situations like that. But I don't think that that's a viable plan. And so I think that there's a good conversation to be had about what value is he bringing to this team right now, because in the last two games, I think you could argue that there hasn't been much.
I think on the field, definitely he's been somewhat of a hindrance at times. I think the reason why they brought him back in essentially was they knew Skinner wasn't going to be ready. They understood what was going on with their numbers and how they felt about that position group. Obviously, they didn't feel very strong about it to have 6 players be in your safety rotation. That's just typically not what you teams do. But some of these safeties, again, have multiple purposes. Like you said, with Kareem Jackson, with PJ Locke, he can do some coverage kind of things. But again, you can't have yourself be ejected, put Bassey being your safety kind of out as a liability. Just can't put guys out like that. So I understand he's a leader, but maybe there were better choices to at least bring into camp and really explore those ideas. I don't think there were viable options really ever for some of those guys. Maybe they should have been playing a little bit more in the preseason to see if anyone could step up. But it is something where it's kind of let's just hold on until Skinner's feeling better. I feel like that's kind of the mentality of this team now. And I don't know how how fast he can return from that torn labium, right? Labria. Labrum.
I don't think that. I don't know, and I didn't see enough from Skinner in the preseason to really know, but I did feel as though he was a little lost out there. So I don't know if it would have made a huge difference to have him to be able to plug in. Obviously, we're missing Caden Stearns. Like that's the biggest thing, right? Is we had someone that we thought was going to be,
but he's a liability in himself. Every single year he's been hurt, hasn't he?
Right. No, I would agree with that.
But you're putting your eggs in that basket,
right?
When he's on the field,
that's what you're provides.
I also don't think Kareem's the issue. Justin is having. There were a lot of plays that were made right in front of him last week. So either stylistically, the play calling isn't, it's significantly different. It's a lot of man, a lot of pressure looks versus, sending the least amount of guys as it has been over the last few years. So Kareem's play on the field, to me, hasn't been a concern.
Sure.
His decision-making and some of those, and that's hard because the 2 times that he's been flagged, he's trying to stop a guy from getting 1 more yard. If they make that stop, we get the ball. We have a chance to win in week 1. And then he's trying to dislodge a ball in the end zone. All right. Okay. Those aren't – it's not like he's taking a swing at a guy on the side of the field. He's not,
sure.
Trying to snatch a chain. They just happen to be plays that the team couldn't overcome, and so the question for me, he has to be on the field to lead. The depth behind him is a concern. PJ Locke still hasn't played, if I recall. And Skinner isn't ready. Turner Yell is, a young guy. Well, I guess we'll say that for right now. So no, there's not a lot of depth, but most teams aren't going to carry 6 safeties. You hope maybe Riley Moss comes back and maybe that's a rotation move over. I think Bassey, I know, got a little bit of run in that for his coverage skills, but he's not a guy that's going to be able to help support. You're missing K1. It just, when injuries like that happen, it really just kind of bumps, the depth down. Fabian Moreau has not been very good when he's played. And so, there's just some issues there. I've been pretty impressed by the edge guys play. I thought Cooper and Randy Gregory have played well so far. Not fantastic. They've been in on stuff. Hustle plays have been really good. Inside linebackers have been good. The interior pass rush has been hit or miss, but we knew that was going to be the case. There's not a lot of overwhelming talent there. So to me, it's just there has been a wheel to fall off each time. It's not like if you watch Sunday's game, they weren't bad the entire game.
No,
they weren't bad the entire game against the Raiders. Some undisciplined play that led to some drives staying alive that cost the team points. Some assignments that got blown. Also, some really good plays that just, Sam Howell throws a dime in between 3 guys deep. McLaurin is a fantastic player. You tip your cap, if that ball is any, a foot in any direction, it's a pick or a batted ball. So sometimes those guys just make plays. The hard part is that big play happens after they mess up and keep them on the field for a play, right? It's just they're snake bitten right now. And I think that's how it happens with a losing team. And, you find ways to lose. And that's what this team has done over the first 2 weeks, that, they have to learn how to win before they start winning. And it's very real right now. You can tell that this team isn't sure how to close it out. Remember, after McLaurin scored, the Broncos went down and kicked a field goal. They were still up 24-21.
Yep.
Felt like, all right, took it on the chin again. All right, offense went down, responded, got some points. We got a shot. We'll be okay. Yeah. And it just, they weren't able to close those gates. So they have to do much better on first down defense.
Yeah.
They're just, they're letting teams get momentum. They're getting 6, 7, 8 yards a chunk on first down. It's really hard to be able to challenge that and to be able to get back in your rhythm as a defense. So we'll see. We will see, but it's definitely the defense. If they're not a proud group and come out, pissed and with something to prove on Sunday, maybe some of these guys aren't. They are the reason. It's not it. It's like you said, it's much more of a personnel issue than it is.
Well, is this the reason? I'm just gonna go put my hand here. From Crush, my fears of VJ Vance Joseph defense have been proven the last 2 games. I wasn't a huge fan of the hire. Was hoping for the best though, but man, it's been rough. And so, do you think it's kind of a combination of Vance Joseph and the players, and just they need to get ramped up still? They haven't, they don't have good communication. What's going on with you, do you think, with Vance Joseph?
Yeah, I remember towards the end of the season last year, the Broncos defense was struggling. Yeah. So there were some, I think probably even over the last 6 weeks, they were giving up, 28 32 points to the Chiefs. The Chargers racked up some points in that last game over with the shootout. The Chiefs again got blown out, in LA to a really poor Rams team. So it's not like Evero was leading a fantastic
Pristine
team through 17 years. So I think when you have a style that's a pressure style and your team doesn't get there in a league where it's not designed for the defenses to succeed.
Yeah.
If you don't get there, right, the pressure doesn't get there. This isn't the no-fly zone. Damari Mathis is not Chris Harris, and so he's near making the play, but he's not there. And I think because the quarterbacks really have had time to be able to make those throws, NFL quarterbacks too good. Jimmy Garoppolo, Sam Howell, I don't care who you are. They're good enough when they have time and there's rhythm in the play calling. That's a wrap. So when you aren't getting to the quarterback, you see those things happen. So that's my. I don't know if it's a VJ concern. I mean, he was like the fourth choice. Let's not pretend like Denver didn't try and go get someone else.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Vic was on the docket. There were some other guys on.
We saw again Rex Ryan maybe.
Yeah, I mean Rex was in there. I know he thinks he should have got the job, but apparently there's something that he did or didn't do that didn't get him the job.
He tried to get his foot in the door.
That's true. That's true.
All right, one last thing before we get out of here, though. Just to say this real quickly, from D-Rock, does anyone believe we have a losing culture mentality in the locker room?
I absolutely do.
Yeah, of course.
Your leaders on the team have never won in this uniform. Justin Simmons has had one winning record since he has been here.
Yeah,
and everyone after him haven't even sniffed 500. So, yep. Yeah,
I
they
agree.
don't know.
I mean, you keep losing your coaches, you keep losing this and that. There's nothing that's been sustained. It all feels like it just year after year. Just look out for yourself and hope that maybe in the future something works out. But you got to get that feeling of a win coming before you can kind of have that culture where we're not going to lose these games. So I agree.
I agree. I would say that I feel like it's not just the locker room, though. I feel like kind of in all aspects of this league that the Broncos are not viewed as anything but a low-tier team. And that's on all levels right now. That's coaching, that's personnel, that's, I don't know, ownership remains to be seen, but with the lack of ownership that we had with the group that we had running ownership for a while, there were no positives really that ever.
I think they did a player review at the end of the year, and the Broncos just did not do well in anything when it came to nutrition. Just down the list, if you looked at it, locker room, just everything, it was not getting high praise, or they were like the best for them was mid-tier. So this team is having some issues where it's kind of deflated. That's how they probably feel going into work. Remember, this is work. So going into work, if it's not that mentality of, hey, let's get it going, let's feel good, we're gonna have a good week, those kind of things. Otherwise, it's just hard to get going. We all know that at work. It's impossible.
And I'll say, and I'm not gonna belabor this too much, but I think it's hard to be part of this organization right now on all levels, and I think including
fans,
this fan base.
Yes.
This fan base is tough right now. This fan base is, and deservedly so in some ways, right? We've been through the grind. We care maybe more than some of these players do about the outcome of this.
That's a good point.
Team, and so the criticism is real. That's something that every team has to deal with. But and maybe it's just an awareness by me, or maybe it's an overreaction by me. But I think that it has felt toxic at times, especially targeted to certain players. And I think there's some, I don't know if responsibility is the word. We show up, we support our team. I think that's the most important thing. But I think there's something to be said about where the morale is low for everyone. The morale is low for everyone. And so someone's got to be able to turn that around. We're hoping Sean Payton can do that. I think maybe we keep hoping that it'll happen overnight, and realistically it just won't. And so we need to continue to be patient in a way. But and I'm, you know me, like I consider myself the pessimist of the show, and so I contribute to that as well.
Yeah.
But I think morale is at an all-time low, and it's hard. It's hard to kind of sit and wait and see what happens, especially when you have lost your first 2 games by a total of 3 points.
I mean, they're not getting blown out, right? It's by the smallest margin in the history of the NFL.
And it felt that way, years prior too. Like we had so many games that it was one score game,
which is the majority of how the NFL works, right? Like it's such a parity-driven league that most of the games are, handful of plays. A handful of plays separates winner from a loser.
Yeah,
and
it's one of those things where like
if you make the winning play.
If you're into betting, I would probably go towards college because at least those games have more predictability. It feels like in a sense. I don't know if you guys feel that way. Not that I don't bet on them, so I wouldn't know really much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's any given Sunday for a reason. We've talked about that a little bit in the past, but I think that maybe we've put too much pressure on this team off the bat. And maybe we just need to reevaluate what a successful season looks like for this team. Again, week 2, I don't want to get too ahead of, what actually might play out. But I think, to be fans and be reasonable isn't too big an ask, I don't think. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. But let's
switch over real quick. Just want to say hi to Kamani real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a break from this serious Broncos talk and hit some beer time. It's beer time, and it's 3 o'clock, just after 3 o'clock. A good time for your day to be winding down from work hopefully for most of us.
Yeah.
If not, God bless you. Hang in there. You'll make it to the weekend eventually, or your day off eventually. Then you drink a beer.
Maybe you're East Coast, so maybe it's hit 5 o'clock, and if you have a 9 to 5, you're good to go.
Yeah. But regardless, it's beer time, and we have some beers we're drinking today. John, you got a beer today or no?
I do not. So I'm excited to hear what you have and to answer Crush's question in there.
Oh yeah. Pull that one up real quick.
Do you want to get to this real quick?
Let's just do it real quick. Let's knock it out.
Yeah. Having tried those 3 Texas beers, how would you all rank them from favorite to least? So let's see. I'm trying to remember the names. We had Blood and Honey.
That was my top one. That was my favorite one.
That was your favorite?
I felt like it was most flavorful. I felt like it had a nice balance. I enjoyed that one the most.
Yeah.
And then I would probably say, what is it? The McConaughey?
The McConaughey's?
McConaughey's.
The Fireman's 4.
Yeah, I think McConaughey's was my second. And I liked the Fireman's 4. I liked all of them.
Yeah.
But I think that the first 2 kind of were more in line with what I enjoy if it's done well.
Yeah.
And I just thought that Blood and Honey had like a nice, I don't know. We were talking about it that day. It had like some nice different flavor profile that I wasn't expecting with some of those like spices. And I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, for me, I'd probably actually have Fireman's 4 as number 1. I guess I just have a different palate at this point.
Totally.
Then I have the McConaughey's as the second one. And then I'd probably have Blood and Honey kind of as third. And, to go outside of some of the other Texas beers that I had, the Tarnation one was obviously the worst. It really was. It tasted like hard alcohol to me. I'm not going to forget that. But it felt like the one that was just the normal one for Texas. Its name is escaping me. Lone Star. Just felt like, to be honest, it was kind of lower APV. But for me, it was light, easy to drink, and that's what I kind of need as something for my drink.
Spot. Yeah,
that's where I'm at now. I'm unrefined, but that's where we're at, I guess. And it just went down so easy for me. So those were my number 1 and then least. But again, I think maybe I had this idea because I noticed Lone Star in a TV show. It was kind of used in the background of a Texas area. So I started to realize that it's used a lot in the background when you're there in Texas, especially going back into like to show some time period.
The Lone Star.
So I really like that actually once I noticed that on a TV show as well.
Interesting.
What about you, Nick?
I would agree with JT's order. That was what I had him. But I also thought that the three that I had, I thought they were pretty good. So there wasn't any I wouldn't have had again.
Yeah, we don't always finish the beers that we try, and I think I finished all of those ones. So
yeah, they were delicious.
Sometimes.
What about you, Crush? Though, I mean, you've had them all. Like you had all the ones that you. Yeah, so let us know. You've had them all. They were your recommendations, so let us know your three favorites.
Doc and I, we got a Dry Dock Brewing citrus wheat. We haven't done many wheat beers. I don't feel like on the pod.
It looks weedy. I don't know. It just
looks weedy. It's just because it's yellow, probably. There's not much.
No, I mean, yellow can mean similar things. I don't know. It's just the right type of yellow.
No, it's hard to see. I got a big.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Like big glare, but some cool art. Dry Dock is like right down the street from us. When I say right down the street, it's like a 10 to 15 minute drive, but it's in our neck of the woods. I've had Dry Dock. Probably that's the brewery I've been to most, just out of convenience. And I think I've had mixed feelings about their beers in the past. There's some good staples that they have there. I think there's an apricot wheat or apricot blonde, I think, that is really popular. I see that a lot. And I remember thinking they had a pretty good double IPA over there, and a nitro brew double IPA. So go to Dry Dock, check it out. It's good stuff. But today we're trying the citrus wheat. It says ale brewed with orange peel and natural flavors, whatever natural flavors means. 5.2 ABV. So we're on the low end. But it's a wheat, so it's kind of to be expected.
It's a wheat.
It's a wheat. Are you ready to pop this baby open?
I am. I need one. It's been a week.
Right. Me too.
For sure.
3, 2, 1. Oh, I beat you, man.
Those was a pop. I thought both were.
We had 2 pops.
Start calling you Tyreek Hill.
It smells lemony. Cheers, I guess, since you're just going on without me.
My bad, dog.
It's all good. You needed it, apparently.
I did.
Clearly, we need it today. Thoughts?
I didn't get a lot of smell.
You didn't? Mine was like, I smelled the lemon a lot. Maybe it's orange peel. I feel like it smells more lemony though.
I can smell more lemony than the orange peel. I taste more orange peel than lemony though.
Yeah, it's I like it. You know, I didn't used to like wheat beers. Yep. I think it's one of those things that wheat beers that has grown on me over the years. Now my favorite's a Hefeweizen. It's kind of in that family, and so though I like that kind of the clove and the banana of the Hefeweizen more so than like this, but I like it. It's got a good citrusy flavor. I think it sells you what it says it's going to sell you, which is always good for us. We believe in that. So if you tell us you're going to do something, then do it well.
Yep.
Doc, your feelings?
I feel like the orange peel is like a little too much.
Okay. Yeah.
But it is what it says, you know, so I can't dock it.
We got a question from Crush. Beer time question. Which current player or coach would you all choose as your partner to compete in current player or coach? Would you all choose to compete in the Amazing Race? So no Dion. He's not a current player or coach unless we're counting college.
Well, they need to have intelligence as well as, you know, the ability to move and do some other, you know, eat some
they're all good communicators. Well. They have to be regulated.
They're all going to be better than me at anything.
I picked Justin Simmons. I feel like Justin is communicative.
Oh yeah.
I feel like he's like regulated. Doesn't seem like to get too ups, down. He's athletic. He's strong. Smart guy. I feel like I go Jay Sims, bro.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not going to yell at me in Europe when I miss a turn. You know, he doesn't seem like that type.
This is a good question. Trying to think about it a little bit.
I would go. Are we talking just Broncos? Are we talking league wide? I don't know. We'll stick to Broncos. It's a Broncos.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I would go. I don't know. I need someone with some energy, but I need someone who can drive a manual because I can't drive a manual.
Oh, that's a good point. When you go into
it can't
the
be a
Europe
new.
part,
It can't be like a new, and like a young guy.
No, it can't be a young guy because they obviously can't drive a manual, and I'm much older than them, and I can't drive a manual. This is one of my blind spots for sure in life.
right?
Who's one of the older guys? Who could we get away with? I think maybe Purcell. I'd go with Purcell. Purcell seems like he's got good energy. He's a little feisty.
He wouldn't, even though they would portray it as going slower than Simmons when running. Really, we'd all be going the same speed because it's how fast we run.
Right. It's a team run.
Right. Well, me and Simmons would smoke you guys. So.
And literally everyone on the team is faster than me, so I could pick anyone. That's the good thing.
Okay.
But
how this?
Comfortable would you and Mike be in a European?
It would be awful for sure.
Just saying.
For sure. That is a valid point.
It would be a tight whip.
So I need older and skinny.
I mean,
sure.
there's just something to think. It's one piece of the puzzle. It's not the entire thing.
Yeah. I mean, we'd get
you're flying a lot, so you're sitting next to them on flights too. So
it's true.
I would go with if when healthy, Baron Browning.
Okay, I like that.
I think he would also have that Ohio State mind. Hopefully, that's done him well. And
what does that mean?
Well, I mean,
name
Ohio
a genius that went to Ohio State. Stop it.
My dad.
Okay, your dad's a smart guy. I don't know, like a genius.
Ohio State is a good school. I mean, it is. Let's be honest.
Is it? Like, what's it known for? What kind of school?
It's known for being a good school.
Come
on,
good school for what? Right, it's a football school.
Well, then its degree has been
right.
Really
name a famous smart guy that went to IMG.
I'll work on that. Okay.
It's a football academy. Right?
We got a little more football to talk about, so let's get into next week's matchup right now. I meant now.
I meant now.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Now,
right now. Okay, good job. We've got, when I say we, obviously I mean me, the Broncos, have a big game coming up against the Miami Dolphins. This is a team that is currently 2-0. Looks pretty good early on.
They do.
Is an electrifying offense, has some solid defensive play. We'll get to see our old friend Vic Fangio on the sidelines. How are we feeling? I just from a fan morale perspective going into this game, John, kick us off.
I'm feeling this is a must-win kind of mentality going in. I know it isn't, but boy, does it feel like this was a slow start. I just felt like this was the easy part of the schedule. I would have liked the team to come out showing something. Like I said, they've shown a lot in terms of, hey, like you said, moving the ball down the field, scoring quickly when they need to score. I guess what it comes down to is, the other teams are just taking advantage of a few more opportunities that the defense is letting them, stay in the game. So it's been one of those things where it's been difficult. I need to start trusting the defense, start trusting the special teams to do everything right. I just need to build that trust. What about you?
I get that.
That's just from my fan perspective.
Yeah. Me, I'm like I said earlier, I'm kind of the eternal pessimist on the show. So I have large reservations that they'll be able to pull out a win against this team. However, I think that if you're going to bring your A game, if you're going to elevate, you want to elevate against the better, the teams that are at the top of the league. I think teams that start hot can get a little bit complacent. Teams that are in the Broncos position can get a little desperate, and maybe that works into a perfect storm for your team. I don't necessarily think that will be the case. However, I could see a scenario where that would happen. Doc, how are you feeling?
How am I feeling about the game?
Mm-hmm. Be honest.
I think it's going to be a game I think it's going to be a game that they win because there's no way they'll win. And of course, like that's what happens with like toxic relationships is like, oh, then they're going to win. It like gives you like a ton of hope, and then they'll choke the next week. Like, what?
You're right.
It feels like maybe they are the trap for the trap game this week. So maybe that plays, I think it has to play in their favor. I think it'll probably be a more competitive game than most of us are thinking.
I hope so.
But I'm coaching soccer in the morning time. And it'll be one that I will check the score to see if I'm going to watch it.
If you can actually jump into it.
Which you tell me what that means right now. Like in the end, I'll watch it. I will, I'll watch I'll watch the game so that I know what's going on, but it's like, am I going to run home to watch it from the get-go? That excitement isn't there.
Right.
So,
okay.
I will watch it when I have time. If I check the score and it looks like it's a good game, then I will hop in. I'll go watch it from the beginning. I'll take my lumps. But if I check my phone, it's 24-6.
What's that plus or minus range for you to all of a sudden be like, hey, I got to get home?
If they're within a score.
Yeah.
Really? I'd say within 3.
3 points. No, I mean, if it's 21-14, they got a shot still, right? It's a competitive game.
Yeah.
It's a competitive game. So
I suppose so.
Good football, especially because this is one where it's like I don't expect them to win. I expected wins the first 2 weeks.
Right.
The fact that they didn't get those is extremely disappointing. So Justin Simmons is going to be out on Sunday. That got announced like right when we were coming on. I forgot to.
Oh, did it? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that, and that really changes how I'm going to feel about the safeties right now. I don't think that means PJ Locke is going to be put in there. It's just a lot of issues now. All of a sudden, are coming up with those 6 safeties.
Yeah, can Locke even come back yet? I don't know.
Week 5.
Week 5. So you're going to be relying on
Kareem
and Moreau,
Delaney Turner, and Moreau. Yeah.
Wow. Sorry, Moreau's corner.
He's played enough.
Necessities. You got
a ton of that stuff is interchangeable. You hope maybe Jalen Waddle doesn't play. Sounds like he's
going on, David. How you doing?
He's
let's make it happen.
Question mark here
about Sanders
to play. So
yeah, Waddle. Yeah, that is good news. I would say that Waddle's questionable at the moment.
Yeah.
It's funny though.
Like I said, you hope that it's a game that Miami's overlooking. However, I have no faith that Vic isn't amped and ready to go. You assume Bradley Chubb is ready to go.
Did AJ Johnson make the team in the end? Alexander Johnson, excuse me.
And signed. I don't know if he made it. I don't know if he's.
He would be pumped. I think so too. If anyone.
Probably. I'm not real worried about Alexander Johnson. Record.
No, but I'm just saying the defense probably will be.
Yeah, I think the defense will show up. I think they will.
Want to show up.
However, I'm less worried about the Broncos offense playing well.
But still, a big concern of mine has been Ben Powers. Let's just talk about that real quick.
Okay.
And what he does to the rest of the offensive line, really. What it does to Garrett Bowles in a sense. For me, he just comes out so slow. I don't see any acceleration. He doesn't have any his first step just lacks. It's almost like a win for him is a stalemate when it comes to the running game. Yes, in the passing game, I think he's done pretty well. But again, he's not been there to help Bowles out, really. He's kind of been just worrying about his own gap, essentially, and not even worrying about the A gap. I feel like he's kind of just been, for me, at least going into these first 2 weeks, a bust of a free agent at his kind of market value. It just really has not felt like it's gone well for him so far. I'm not sure if that has to do with coaching. To me, it just looks like he doesn't have his feet underneath him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think him or McGlinchey has looked good so far.
No, neither have.
So
I will say I don't think that unit is the biggest issue, though.
I also don't think that's.
You know what I mean? And so, obviously, I think they can be cleaned up. I think everyone can get.
I just like to watch the offensive line. You all.
Oh, I know. And I'm just saying.
They have not been as good as I would have liked them to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I think we knew that it was slow for them to gel. I thought Bowles has looked as good as I need him to look. I thought Cushenberry has been serviceable, which is kind of what we asked for.
Right.
This is not a unit that, in 3rd and 10, you're going to feel really good about going, mano a mano with a good pass rush team. Remember, the Washington's defensive front is as good as you're going to find anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. It's like their worst player is Chase Young. Okay,
right.
Like they are stacked. So
For sure.
and they held up their own. They had 399 yards of total offense. 50 came on a Hail Mary, but that still counts. It's still in the play, right? Like they're still trying to make that play happen.
And he is taking up space, like Kamani is saying. He is doing that, but again, I just like to see more bursts from that coming. That's
you're wanting
that's
a guy
for me
that got
personally.
paid like
I think that takes the game to the next level.
Sure.
For the running game, it's not so much on Williams to just plow his way through. Now all of a sudden there's going to be a seam where he can then take it 12 yards instead of just worrying about those first 4 yards.
Sure. I would like them to be more physical and more dominant at the point of attack.
Right.
I also am not going to harp too much because I think that there are, I thought Jerry Jeudy was a no-show. I had a couple. He was not getting the separation I would have thought he would have got. Cortland was non-existent in the first half. Yeah. Showed a really good outing second half. They did not go back to Marvin Mims when that guy was a difference maker. Yeah. Smarty Pirine has been nowhere. Yeah, right? I mean, they haven't been running. There's been a lot of stuff, but remembering though that this team scored 33 points on Sunday, which we have not seen here in you all tell me when since Drew Lock's Buzz Lightyear game, right? I don't know. I mean, or maybe one of the first weeks of Teddy Bridgewater's time, maybe. Like I don't know the last time that we had 30-something points scored.
Definitely doesn't feel Russell era.
No, definitely not during the Russ era.
No, not during the Russ era. And and we got that. We got, in week 1, they scored 16 points, but that wasn't an offensive problem. You had the ball 6 times. Yeah. So again, my worry is not on that side of the ball. DeMar Mathis has to rebound and play much better. He's getting absolutely toasted. Yeah. And the pressure has to get there.
Yeah.
So fit run better. You got to win some one-on-ones, and DeMar's got to hold up a little bit better. I think if those 3 things happen, even 2 of those things happen, I think this defense looks significantly better, and it's less of a problem. This is going to be a really big week to do that. You hope that there's a little bit of a Miami letdown. I don't know who they're playing after the Broncos, but I assume it's probably going to be like an AFC East matchup, and they're probably looking past them. And you hope that Sean Payton has some stuff up his sleeve to come out and help this team kind of get over the hump.
Yeah. Just to kind of go back to the Miami personnel, I think that, and John, I think this is a good, another reason to talk about the offensive line. This defense can bring the pass rush when they're healthy. We got Jalen Phillips, you got Bradley Chubb, who we'll be seeing again, sadly, against us. You've got Zach Seiler. You've got some guys that can generate some pressure. So I think those guys alone, I'll be interested to see how that offensive line holds up, especially in pass protection. It seems like they did pretty well in that first half. I think part of that was by design. We'll see how they do as the game progresses, if they can hang. I wanted to say, just because I was going to say it earlier, we get to see another former Bronco. River Craycraft has made that offense. So with
he's producing.
Waddle potentially being out. Yeah, Craycraft and Braxton Berrios are good, second, third options. So I just think it'll be interesting. It's an interesting matchup that presents a lot of challenges. I don't know that the Broncos will be able to overcome them, but I will say, even if we go down 0-3, if they make it competitive, and they can show that they can take a punch on the chin, even if they don't come back and rally and win, if they're still in it, if they can keep that mentality, I'll feel better about this team moving forward. But unfortunately, so far we've seen them take shots and fold.
Right.
And that's morale breaking for fans too, right? Because we can sense that. We see that on the sideline. We can see when guys are losing that kind of mentality, that kind of edge. and just one.
You can almost tell like
No,
that mentality that happens. They just want to get home after these games. It's been long. It's been a hard week. I want to see them be excited, get ready to get back into work after they heal up for the rest day, whatever they have.
Mhm.
I want to see that kind of excitement back into the locker room and back from the coaches. That's what I want to see.
What's interesting though is I didn't get that from Russ at all. Russ played his heart out. Like, I mean, he's scrambling and diving for first downs on the last drive. I think they're just not meshing, right? Like there's just something missing. I think that it will click. I don't know if it will happen in time for them to get to where we would like them to go.
I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I do want to ask you, Doc, do you think that this team believes in Russ? Do you think Russ, even though maybe it's not his play that's the issue, do you think could be a personality issue?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He competes. Like he's playing well and he competes. I don't know, if you're an NFL player and you need the stuff that's being said about him, it's like, well, he doesn't hang out with the guys. Like if you really need that from your quarterback when he's playing good football.
Do you need that from your CEO at work, or let's just say your boss?
Right.
No, I mean, like even a coworker,
or the guy that manages a department that you don't work in. No, if you're a cornerback,
you just don't have to be friends with everyone that you work with.
Is he playing well? Right, and is he accountable? And I think if he's doing those things, he's getting coached up. That's all you're asking for. No, I think I don't think that they know how to win. Right, like how to come up with big plays on a consistent basis to kill other drives or to keep things going. Things just work against them, i.e. pass interference call in the end zone, right? Like, oh yeah, here we go again. Like there's just that kind of thing right now that keeps them from getting over the hump. Then I think that's more of the worry than it's Russ doing it. If you look at Russ's efficiency and what he's producing right now, he's playing real well. If you look at every stat, right? Like, I mean, points per drive, all that good stuff. He's doing what needs to get done. So if people are, if the locker room doesn't feel like you can win with Russ when he's putting up really good numbers and you're giving up 5.5 yards a carry on defense, your priorities are skewed.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Do you want to get to a couple of these questions real quick?
Yeah, I was going to do the same, so go for it.
Let's get to crushes here. Should the Broncos look at bringing back Bryce Callahan or Bradley Roby for help at QB2? Any thoughts on this?
CB2.
Well, QB2 would be weird. CB2 would be appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah, they should.
Who would you take first?
I
take Bryce first. I think Bryce has played really well last year. Chargers fans, ones that we've talked to, really like him. They wish that he had came back. He's a guy that probably won't cost much. Brian and can play inside outside. So, if Damari starts picking up his play, you can kick Bryce inside. Like I like Asang Bassi. I think he's playing good football. Good Bryce Callahan is better than Asang Bassi.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way that I would go.
I'd go Bryce too. I'd go Bryce first as well. I love me some Ohio State guys, but Bryce, I think, and you're missing your slot corner anyways, your starting slot corner anyways. So it seems like
go ahead.
Somewhere he could be versatile in that defense if you needed him to be. So I like that. I don't know. I don't know that the only thing you worry about with Bryce is his health, right? And so you take another risk on a guy that may not be healthy or may be healthy for 1 or 2 games. And then
I think last year he played like 14, 15 games. I think it's, if you're looking at and if K'Wan Williams comes back at week 8, really you're buying you're buying Bryce for 5 weeks.
Yeah. And if the price is right, you do it, right? Like he doesn't have to be healthy. He was
a minimum vet min player, made like 1.25 last year.
Yeah,
I don't know why Traymon's on the roster. He doesn't return kicks.
Mm-mm.
He's not like a good corner. I have no idea where he's on. Zero.
They guys got it right in the chat. That's all I can say right now.
Yeah.
I want to do this one just because it's fun. Actually, I want to ask this question in. It's kind of will be negative again from me, of course. But I just wonder if, since these 2 games have happened, since the outcomes have been what they've been, are you adjusting your expectations for this season?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you count those 2 wins. I don't think the playoffs are in reach. So you hope, in my opinion, that this team puts it together and looks like a team that figured it out going into next year. However, there's still 15 games left. It's not like the season's over. I think if they don't win Sunday, for sure, I think it's very much, now we're doing roster checks on who's gonna be here next year.
Yeah. Do you agree, John?
Yeah, essentially, I agree with that. It's a long season, but if you go 0-3, man, that just deflates everyone. I think then you start to look at future moves and how you can do that, and you can't go out 0-3. It just is. That is a big way to gain up.
Yeah, and then I was going to throw this in with it since I like the question and I want to answer.
Yeah, let's do it.
From D-Rock. Guys, with our first overall pick, do we go QB, outside linebacker, defensive line, CB, offensive tackle? The player you like is there. What say you? This is obviously, we're
doing this in fun and gist right now. We're not the Cardinals for real.
But you know how I feel about the draft, and so
yes, it's so
any
exciting.
draft question I will answer.
Yeah,
and the answer is easy. I think it's Caleb Williams. It just is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if for some reason you're not one, and let's be honest, it is hard to get up there to number one otherwise, or 2 or 3, whatever. Maybe Shadur Sanders. Hey, maybe. Just I don't know. Maybe that's Sanders. No, all right, never mind. A Colorado quarterback. You may not know.
He's not coming out. Deion already said
that's
what
he
doesn't want to come out. He doesn't want to come out to be number 2. So if Caleb's going to be number 1, he's going to wait till the next year.
I like Shadur Sanders. Caleb's number.
I like Shadur Sanders too. He's not Caleb Williams.
No, Caleb is special.
Caleb is a guy that I am okay the Broncos losing for.
If the Broncos have a losing season, say we have like a 4 or 5 win season, but one of our wins comes against Kansas City, is this season a success?
No.
I think it's a success.
No, I think if they are
maybe
8-9, and the win against Kansas City propels them to it's kind of like, what was it? Jacksonville was, what were they, like 2-6 or something last year before they turned it on?
Mm-hmm.
So say the Broncos do that, miss playoffs still, but they beat the Chiefs and it propels them to. I'll take that. I think I would have liked them to make the playoffs this year. I think for us to believe that they would go from that was, I think, a hopeful expectation. I think most of us were pretty aware that building to next year was kind of what was going to be. I want to feel good going into next year. I don't want to feel dejected. So if they can build on it and give us some confidence that next year is going to be a big opportunity. I know some contracts hit on the heavier end, but you also have some that probably will fall off. That makes me feel a little bit better about what's to come. So in the end, if they win Sunday, it's a totally different season. You're 1-2 in a division where, at best someone is 2-1.
Yep.
And you just beat a team that is one of the 2 unbeatens in the conference, right? So you're not that far behind right now. So no one's run away with stuff yet. Some teams that you thought would be really, really good aren't. The Jets probably aren't going to be very good. We were chalking them up to being a playoff contender, Super Bowl contender. The Bengals are really struggling. The Browns have Deshaun Watson. Pittsburgh still maybe is a year away.
Yeah.
The Chargers are charging. So all of the teams with all the quarterbacks, it was like, but you got to go through this gauntlet. They're all struggling, and sadly, Baltimore is a Lamar injury away from being the Jets, right? And same with Buffalo, Kansas City looks human right now. It's a little bit of that's the part I think is more frustrating than anything about the Broncos not winning it would have been an opportunity for them to take hold of some stuff, and they had the talent, in my opinion, to do it, and they just haven't put it together.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like D-Rock says, good question. No, but it wouldn't be a successful season, but the sting doesn't hurt as much. I need a win against Kansas City rather than a playoff spot. Just saying. I'm with you, D-Rock. I'm with you. Well, that concludes our show today. We will be back next week with some more Broncos talk, some analysis on the Dolphins game, and then their matchup next week. So stick with us. We appreciate you listening as always, and watching if you're joining us, interacting in the chat. We love it. D-Rock, thanks. Crush, thanks. Everyone else who was in here, Kamani, thanks for interacting with us. We always enjoy that. But yeah, everyone be safe out there. Be kind to one another, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Let's go Broncos.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day.